For someone who experiences discomfort, glare, or tiredness when reading, a visual stress assessment can be life-changing.
For some students, it's a game changer. It's, all of a sudden, there'll be a kind of light bulb moment. It's almost instant, which is, for a teacher, it's really satisfying to see a problem that's suddenly unlocked, an issue that's unlocked, and the child is like, oh, is that what it's supposed to look like? If they've got blurring of the text, if they've got words jumping around off the page, and they think that's the same for everybody, but they are really struggling to be able to decode that text because of those other issues. But in their mind, they're just not very good at reading. I think that can have a massive impact on their self-esteem, on their ability to believe that they can learn something.
Visual stress can be confused with or misdiagnosed as dyslexia. Whilst it's more prevalent in those with dyslexia, it can also occur in strong readers who find reading tiring or aren't reaching their full potential.
How did you first become aware of visual stress?
I worked with a young girl who had a diagnosis of dyslexia, but she had lots of other visual type anomalies, and she had a lot of jumping of, the letters were jumping on the page, and when she described it to me, it sounded so difficult. I don't know how she had coped, throughout, because this was when she was in secondary school, so she'd gone all the way through primary school and it had been undiagnosed, and I didn't really appreciate then that might be a visual stress type of issue, because it was basically, she had a dyslexia diagnosis and we had a coloured overlay, and she used that really, really, really well. And it didn't really occur, well, I wasn't really aware at the time that we could have been assessing separately, and maybe other children were having similar difficulties but weren't able to articulate what was going on for them. So I think it was kind of in my mindset then. And then as time went on, I was kind of thinking, well, we've got these dyslexia diagnoses, but then we were having children that were really benefiting from using a coloured overlay, but they didn't have a dyslexia diagnosis, and that was kind of like, what is going on here?
So, Kim, can you share with us how changes in pupils' vision through using coloured overlays or coloured glasses has changed some of their daily activities or their learning processes?
A young lady that I worked with when I first started my SENCO career, my SENCO part of my teaching career, a coloured overlay for her was life-changing because she was an older child. She'd gone through a lot of, I can't read, I don't know how to do this, it's too difficult for me, I don't know what is going on, everything's moving around. She'd gone from that to, oh wow, is this what it's supposed to look like? So that's really, really important. I think for other students as well, if they've been tired, not wanting to read, it's kind of like a vicious circle. If they've undiagnosed visual stress from that point of view, then they get tired, they don't want to read, then they don't get the practice in, then their self-esteem is damaged, and from that point of view, that's a game changer too, really, for those students. So even if they haven't got that massively, letters jumping around, if using the coloured overlay then allows them to be able to access reading for longer because they don't get as tired, then again, I've seen that be really beneficial. In many instances, I've seen that using coloured overlays, and more recently the coloured lenses has had an impact on behaviour and the self-esteem of the student, which is all important.
Kim, could you maybe paint a picture of what it might be typically like for a child after they've come through to vision through colour and they've got coloured glasses or coloured lenses, and how this has impacted their learning and their life in the classroom?
Because they can access the text more easily, because they are not getting as tired, they can practice more, they can become more independent in their learning. And as a teacher, that's what every teacher is striving for. It's made me also think that I should be looking at visual stress with any kind of reading difficulty, going down that road of looking at coloured overlay, looking at coloured lenses prior to those that then any kind of other formal diagnosis that we go to for a reading difficulty is really, really beneficial.
Have you seen how improvements in visual stress symptoms have affected other areas of a child's life, not just in their reading and in the classroom?
From a behavioural point of view, if you are able to access for longer reading, writing, it's going to have an impact on the individual child and also the children around that child.
So what advice do you have for teachers, parents, just anybody who's come across somebody in their lives who they think might have difficulty with visual stress symptoms?
If there are children that are having issues with dyslexic type problems or any kind of tiredness when they're reading or anything like that, I think it's really good to, if we've gone down the other routes, the more traditional, I suppose. I think this should be a traditional route, but it isn't at the moment. And we still seem to be having problems. Then having a look at visual stress would be another thing that we could do, having seen children benefit from this. It's really important that we have it there in our assessment arsenal sort of thing. Any impact on anything that can help a child with their learning, I think, is then going to have an impact on their behaviour. Anything that can impact on a child's self-esteem is naturally then, I feel, going to impact on their behaviour.
This is one of a number of videos produced by Vision Through Colour to raise awareness of visual stress. If you or anyone you know experiences any of the difficulties described in this video, visit visionthroughcolour.co.uk or call 0191 284 7361.